be the key there. Whoever kind of, if the Progressives kind of get out of the valleys, they're going to have to be one of those two teams.
And the reason why I wanted to try out just our side of the bracket for the bracketology, one, just to kind of test to see how it looks, but two, just to kind of get a picture of, on the 6A side, and maybe next week I'll do 5A or 4A as far as through that here. But moving at 5A, Region 4, District 25, Leander Glen, Cedar Park 2-0, Leander Lions 1-0-1, Lockhart 1-1, although that was their first loss. Liberty Hill 2 draws, Leander Rouse 1 loss, 1 draw for right here. Anything that sticks out as far as for District 25?
Surprised Rouse has a loss, because they've been like I said, they're one of the two teams last year that made it to the Final Four for Region 4. Glenn, you could say, look what they did last year. They're back at it again. I'm sure they're going to be a favorite coming in from the Austin area. Surprise Lockhart soccer could be the surprise this year, even though they got their first loss. But I would keep an eye on that Liberty Hill team. I think they may be the dark horse for that district.
Yeah, for me, the dark horse is going to be is Lockhart, just due to the fact that they historically are not one that you kind of see coming out of this district too often. And like I was talking about earlier with Floresville, Lockhart is a team that I've played against
several times,
at the club level, and they've got a really good program and thing going over there in Lockhart as far as the soccer community, and it's starting to really grow, not just on the boys side, on the girls side as well. They're starting to put some good results together. So yeah, there you go. A 2-1. So that community's probably a little bit more rapid pace than I would say that Floresville is. But that's just goes to show, hey, when you really bring that community together, it can happen on both sides, starting at the early ages, and they're on the right path. So it's not just a barbecue town anymore, right? It's turned into a soccer community as well.
So, and on here, I got to pay attention to the colors here better. Leander Rouse 2-0, Cedar Park Timberwolves, the Lady Wolves 2-0. Lockhart Lions, as you mentioned, 1-0-1. Liberty Hill 1-1. Buda Hayes and Leander Glen, 1 loss, 1 draw, and then Kyle Lehman, the only one that's 0-2 through here. But your thoughts on District 25? I know Steve mentioned the Lockhart Lions already here. Any surprises? I know Leander Rouse has been one that you've been tooting for a little while there, Rafa, pardon me.
Yeah, well, also, like I said, I got to see Lockhart play too, and I got to talk to their players after the game against Harlan, and I was impressed. Like Steve mentioned, that you can tell that, and even talking, I think even talked to their club coach and said they kind of realized that they had, in order for them to compete in this district, off season they had to play very competitive soccer to get prepared. It shows, and like I said, they're off to a good start. Like I said, I think they have a really good chance of getting a playoff spot. Leander Rouse, like I said, they've been a dominant, the last few years. I'm a little surprised Leander Lions are down. Maybe it's a rebuilding year for them. Because remember they've had some good teams the last couple of years. Liberty Hill, another great team. Like I said, I don't Coach Cattle's familiar with them because they got to play them last year. They're going to be, I think, in the mix. So I think there's like I said, I think there's about 5 teams that are going to be in the mix as far as playoff spots. But I think, the district championship might come. Like I said, Cedar Park may have a say. You
didn't mention Buda Hayes. You mentioned 5, but you mentioned Leander who's in 6. What about Buda? I'm just saying they're 8-1-1.
So Buda Hayes, they're one of those teams that have been there on the boys and girls side for 15, 20 years. They usually have a pretty competitive team. Cedar Park is another one that's very, very competitive. That being said, don't forget Rouse took the El Cucuy to a shootout last year at state.
Mm-hmm.
So Rouse they might have redemption in their name, this year, Rouse Redemption Raiders. So, they've been battle tested as far as going all the way to state. They've seen, the state champion and such. So, they know what it takes now, and so to have a very successful season. I know that when I went last year, they had, I came across some friends that I know that are college coaches, and not their scouts, but the actual head coaches, and they were out there to see a couple players from the Leander schools, and Rouse being one of them. So I know that they're definitely on the radar of D1 schools, like the talent that's out there as far as their girls team and probably their boys team as well. But I know in this case it was a girls team that they were looking at some of the players on their roster. So but yeah, no, that's who I kind of see. I know that it's a very competitive district. I mean, even Leander in sixth place. Like, look at their record. 6-5-2. That's pretty competitive, and I'm pretty sure that those are against quality opponents, non-district record. So, this is one of those districts that it's brutal just to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Two interesting things about Leander Rouse. They have a win over Smithson Valley. And they have a win over Lake Highlands. The only loss that they had was to A&M Consolidated, who I had in my RPIs for statewide. And also they had a tie with Pflugerville Hendrickson, who also made it to state last year. So from Region 3. So they know as far as they have to be battle tested. And like I said, they know because when they're facing like a team like Wakely and all that, they got to be prepared. So I think they're going to be a tough one. Like I said, they're probably going to be the favorite again for Region 4.
So this is the district we've all said going into the season, watch out for both on the boys and the girls. 5A, District 26, Piper 5-0, Bernie 4-0-1, New Braunfels 3-1, Alamo Heights 2-0-2, Kerrville Tivy 1-4. Bernie Champion still winless, both on the year, but 1-3 in district. Smithson Valley, maybe a little bit shocking, 1-3 in district. And then you got Veterans Memorial and Wagner. I'm sorry. But your thoughts on their Piper? Piper seems like they're loaded, at least come district time so far.
Yeah, maybe not as strong as they were last year, but still good enough to kind of do some damage in this district. But like I said, don't count out the Bernie Greyhounds. Remember, they made it to the state final last year,
For 4A, right?
For 4A.
Because they moved up,
And Coach Strong, he's got that pedigree, with what he's done with that program. And I'm sure they're surprising some teams right now in that district, but I'm not surprised where they're at now because I know, the type of team they are. Like I said, this is a group of death. This is the group of death, the boys and the girls. And I'm a little surprised Smithson Valley boys and Champion are kind of there, but maybe they'll kind of get it together and start to contending. The key to is, like I mentioned, the other one, like the other districts, is stealing points when you're the away team. If you can at least get a win, would be big, but even a tie can help out in the long. Because I think it's going to come down to who. There's going to be some tiebreakers, and there's going to be some head-to-heads. There's going to probably who gets that last spot in the playoffs, and it's going to be a shame because there's, like I said, there's at least 6 teams here that could probably make the playoffs in other districts, and so it's like I said, this is just how competitive this is.
Yeah, it is a competitive district, and I'll say this about Vets Memorial. They're 0-4-1, but they lost to Bernie 2-0. So to me, that's kind of eye-opening that they, lost by that close of a margin, to a team that, yes, they were 4A, but they've won state, 2 out of the last 3 years and such. And for them to be right there with Bernie, another result that they had was 1-1 with Bernie Champion, as well as, 4-1 against New Braunfels. So, but that's what Rafa was talking about. That's what it could come down to, a slip up against, a tie, I should say, against a team like Vets Memorial. That could be the make or break for finding the fourth or third spot, or even maybe unfortunately coming out fifth because of the draw against a team like that. So watch out for them, especially in the second part of district, when they've already seen these teams, they can make adjustments and such. But yeah, like this is one of those. This is the district, as far as from head to toe, as far as competitive teams on the boys and the girls side for 5A in 4A in region 4.
Yeah. So speaking of girls, Piper 4-0-1, Smithson Valley 3-0-1, Alamo Heights, New Braunfels 3-1, Bernie Greyhounds 3-2, Bernie Champion 3-2. Kerrville, Tivy 1-4, and Wagner and Veterans Memorial for that here. But I know we could probably rinse and repeat the same conversation we just had. But your thoughts on the ladies in 26?
Yeah, go ahead, Rafa.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just gonna say, I think this one's every match is gonna be a drag out. Hey, let's try to get either a draw or 3 points, some sort of result out of this. It's going to be very, very tough. Unfortunately, Wagner and Vets Memorial probably not as competitive on maybe on the girls side as we've seen it on the boys side as far as the results that we've seen so far. But even Kerrville Tivy, that's a team that you don't want to take lightly in this district. I had the opportunity. So when I first came on to the show tonight, I had the opportunity to go out to Piper and Smithson Valley, but that fog really got pretty thick on my drive out there, where I had to use my GPS to know where I was exiting. I couldn't barely see the exit. So that kind of told me, especially being 45 minutes from my house, it was a trek to get out there. I made the executive decision to do the turnaround and head back home. And, I looked at the score the next day and it was 0-0. So I think I made the right decision. I'm sure it was a good game on the field. I'm not sure if I would be able to see too much of it, due to the fact that that fog came in pretty thick on Tuesday night. But live to see another day, right?
Yeah, you got to be safe. And like I said, the fog was even bad at the north side fields, let alone further up north, and especially getting more rural areas where it comes in a little bit thicker.
Yeah, I had it in Salado too, with the rain too. So
it was wet, but it wasn't really rainy for District 27 boys. Burbank Lanier 3-0-1, Edison 3-1, Fox Tech 2-1-2, Jefferson 2-1-1, Brackenridge 2-2, Seguin 1-3, Highlands 1-4, and Sam Houston still winless. Your thoughts on 27 boys there, Rafa?
Well, the Lanier boys, I think they were coming in as one of the favorites. A little surprised Burbank, they're right there, total neck and neck with them. Edison, like I said, year in, year out, they've been a consistent team in this district as far as making playoffs. A little surprised Steve's alma mater's on the fifth spot. Fox Tech's ahead of them.
It's early.
I know my old Coach Gabriel, my old DOC from Mission City. He's a Fox Tech alumni. I'm sure he's loving it right now. So, but like I said, this has always been a competitive district. You got some quality players. It's still early. I still think Jeff will make a move. I think they'll get back in the mix. But I think, like I said, the real surprise is Burbank. Burbank, I don't think they were really kind of looked at as making any noise in the district. Maybe kind of in the middle of the pack. But it's going to be key how they line up with the Lanier going into the see if they can steal the district title from them.
Yeah, Burbank's got a really good start to district. Their one tie was against Fox Tech, who's actually a pretty good squad. But that being said, Burbank's results have been against Brackenridge, Highlands, and Sam Houston. So they still have to hit the meat and potatoes of the district as far as the Laniers, the Edisons, and the Jeffersons. So, but a great start. Yeah, they're putting points on the board, as far as getting those 3 points and the tie. I think so. This district was shuffled a little bit, where Alamo Heights is out of it. They moved to another district, and MacArthur as well. And then Seguin came into this district, and then I believe Fox Tech came into this district, right?
Moved up from 4A.
Yeah, from 4A. So it's a little shuffled now, but this is kind of the SAISD district that I kind of grew up playing in. So you're seeing a lot of those teams back playing against one another, with Alamo Heights and MacArthur kind of out. But
so
go ahead.
I was going to say, so actually big game tomorrow. So Burbank plays Lanier tomorrow at 5:30. So this is a key. I'm not sure they're playing at Spring Sports or at Alamo. Probably more like at Spring Sports, but
they're playing at SAISD.
So okay, so yeah, they're playing at 5:30. So if you have a chance,
one of the ones that I sent you to for on tomorrow's radar, as far as games to watch. So yeah, they're over at SAISD. So yeah, that'll be kind of their first test of hitting the meat and potatoes of the district. So that'll we'll kind of see where it kind of comes to play after that result. But yeah, no, this is it's a sneaky good district for 5A on the boys side.
So moving over to the girls, Highlands 5-0, Edison 4-1, Seguin 3-0-1, Jefferson 2-0-1, Burbank, Brackenridge, Fox Tech, each with a district win for that here. So, but Highlands seems to be the one that's took the mantle so far early in the year, with Edison hot on their trail.
Yeah, this is a little surprising because normally it's in the past has been like Jefferson and Edison, the top two teams, but this could be the year Highlands lays claim to the title, and also Seguin may have a word too. Like I said, they're not far, finally kind of getting out of that group of death to kind of playing teams here that can match up. And like I said, I got to see Seguin play. They actually gave the Bernie girls some fits, for a half. It took them a while to finally get to score on Seguin. So, like I said, I think they're going to have a good chance, I think, for them to get the playoffs. But I think this is your four more than likely going to be the ones going on to the next round. But we'll see if Highlands can finish it off and win the district.
Yeah, I agree with Rafa. I think the top four that you see here, those are going to be your playoff teams going forward. I just don't see it playing out any other way. Anything can happen, right? It's still very, very early in the district. We still have a lot of games to play, but more than likely, at least three of these top four teams should advance.
Moving to 28 boys, the best team that I think that I've seen in 5A, at least for Region 4 Southwest, 10-0, 5-0. They did have a overtime win. I forget who it was against for that year. But they did have one little slippage, if you could say it is. MacArthur got a somewhat controversial win against Jay on Tuesday. I'll say Coach Poor was probably the most upset I've seen him over the referee not being in the proper position. He felt for the only goal that was scored. It looked offsides, but it counted. So congratulations to MacArthur for getting the tough win. It was a fun game to watch. Physical, both teams showed their talent. Jay unfortunately came up a little bit on the short end. Southwest Legacies continuing from their late push from last year for that here, where they're 4-1, and of course they do the points, not necessarily wins. So 15-13, and then McCollum right now is at 9 points. Jay's just out with 8. CC wins at 6. Southside and Harlandale each with 5, and unfortunately South San as well. Unfortunately, still struggling. Unfortunately, in 28 for the boys here. Your thoughts on 28? I won't lie to you. Southwest is the class of this. I've seen. I don't think I've seen Southwest Legacy yet, but I've seen most of the others. I was super impressed with Southwest. I know I keep highlighting them, but
Legacy. I don't think last year they kind of gave them some fits. I think it's a Clásico. So all records are pushed aside. It's about pride, about who gets bragging rights in the district. Being in the same Southwest ISD district. So I know they've always played them tough. So, and I think they're playing on the 4th of February. So Legacy will go to Southwest on that day. So that should be a good one there. Like I said, MacArthur. I think they hung around because remember, I think Steve, you sent the scores right. They were hanging around, and something happened in the second half.
Yeah, so I was there in I was at the Comalander Blossom facilities last Friday, and so I was watching Lee and Brandeis over at Comalander, and then at halftime I hopped over to back west over at Blossom, and so it was 2-1 Southwest, and they were pretty much dominating a very good and skilled MacArthur team, right? And there's started. I'm not going to get on the refs or anything like that, but I know that their fans were, kind of a little after some of the calls that were being made, and you could tell it kind of not necessarily bothered the players, but they responded in such a positive way where they just took their game to this next level.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really neat to see them play. And I'll second what you said, Harry, as far as the best team that you've seen play this year. For me, absolutely. And I saw Brandeis and Lee play. And Southwest Dragons, I mean, just the way that they play, the way that they attack, the way that they defend, it was very, very beautiful game to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the bandwagon, right? Once I've seen it, and I saw them last year too. But there's something about this team that they just look like they're ready to, make that run. And we've seen it time and time again. District, they plow through the district, and then once they hit the playoffs, it's a different story. But some of the I do want to make a couple recognition. I did speak to someone on their side. So some of their top scorers is Cesar Angel, 13 goals already in 10 games. Caleb Barajas, 10 goals. Sebastian Huerta, 5 goals. Alfred Plasencia, 4 goals. So yeah, they've got some high-powered players, and just the way that they play and some of the chemistry that they have together is just really, really neat to see. So I'm looking forward to going out to see them play a couple more times, hopefully before the playoffs comes around. But yeah, that's one team that is just if you have not seen them in San Antonio yet, go out there and watch them, because that's the way that's the beautiful game should be played.
To me, the reason why I say they're the best team, and I saw Lee couple nights or couple nights or the week before. But Southwest, and AJ mentioned this because the boys talk to each other and with the club, and they know people on different teams. But the Southwest team, both varsity and JV, played the same way. The passing was crisp. It's like they knew where and no offense to Jay or the other schools that I've seen, you'd have 3 or 4 good passes, and then it would kind of fall apart a little bit. But Southwest was able to ping it, cross it left to cross it back across. It was just nice. But I know Rafa's going to come in with some heart, some truth here, and kind of put some water down, saying, "Hey, we've seen this before from Southwest." You're on mute.
I think they're prepared for teams in Region 4, like your Brownsville Lopez, your Rivera's, because they did play Rivera at a scrimmage.
Boston schools.
Austin Bowie's kind of down this year, but from my measuring bar, the one I have, can they measure up to is El Cucuy. That's the measuring stick right there. Yeah. And maybe that's for next year is to take a little trip to Dallas. Maybe that Allen showcase, maybe that North Texas Elite showcase. See, maybe play El Cucuy.
Instead of going to Georgetown?
Instead of going to Georgetown. Like I said, that was good to go to Georgetown. You took care of business and what you need to do, and that was great. You know, if you want to be considered elite, you want to be where the Cucuys are at. That's, like I said, that's going to be interesting. If they can win, I think they have a good chance of winning Region 4. But you also, like I said, you have that Leander Glenn team too.
Right.
You know, that's going to be a great. I think if they play each other, that's going to be a great matchup. So wherever they play, and this year, remember, they're not going to play in the Valley. So this game could actually be in San Antonio, or it could be in Austin, or it could be in San Marcos because of the way the playoffs is formatted now. So that'll be interesting, and then we'll see how they match up with the Region 3 team. You know, you got some quality teams over there in Region 3, like Kingwood Park, and you got Friendswood, the Rosenberg Terry. Like I said, I had them in my RPI. So, but I think, like I said, I've seen them play. Like you guys said, they're very good. They're probably, like I said, the top team here in San Antonio, top team probably in the region. And like I said, we'll see. Can they, you know, you can't believe your own hype. You just got to play one game at a time. Focus on that, because when you start trying to believe in the hype, you know, that's when things start to kind of, you know, like I said, because sometimes what happens in the situation that you're behind, you're losing a game. You know, everything's been going right for you all season. What happens when you fall down a goal or two? But like I said,
you went to a game where they got down in the first minute, and I know there was some referee shenanigans late in the game. But they came back and responded.
They were able, yeah. And that's the thing. Can you respond back if you get once you get punched in the face? You know, can you respond back to that? And like I said, I think they're equipped for that. Like I said, I think they should. Like I said, they should win Region 4. But like I said, they got some obstacles. Like I said, with Glenn and Lopez, and possibly even maybe a rematch for Rivera too. But I think they have a good chance, and we'll see where they can go beyond there against that game against Region 3, and maybe. Possible showdown with El Cucuy.
Yeah, and one final thing on that. So they do have a hashtag. So it's hasta el final. So you know they're looking to go all the way to state. But that being said, there is something that I see when I go, you know, because I go to the state tournament and such, is their bench, right? So El Cucuy, who is Frisco Wakeland, and not just them, but when you're going up against those teams, they have about they're extremely deep, you know, and when they bring in their subs, you know, they play usually 16 to 18. Yeah. There's no drop off. And so when those, you know, reserves come in the match, it's, you know, and your boys have already been playing 25, you know, 30, 35 minutes, and they're already exhausted. The level does not drop at all. You know, sometimes it even increases. So that's one thing that I would like to challenge the Southwest team is if you're winning a match, you know, 5-6-0, you really want to start putting your bench players in and getting them minutes to, you know, get some reps in. You don't want to go up, you know, and maybe get to a regional, you know, final or this or that, or maybe even state, and not have that, you know, that deep bench. You know, of course, injuries are going to happen here and there, but, you know, that being said, you know, those teams from Dallas, they play 16 to 18 in a match.
And I will say this: when Jay played Southwest, pretty much on every stoppage, Southwest was subbing somebody, you know, one or two players in. So I do think that's that strategy we were talking about, keeping players fresh, keep, you know, playing the rotation and adjusting the lineups. And I know it was early in the year and they were up, you know, they had got up on Jay relatively early, but you could, and I've seen them do it a couple of times where they do cycle the players in and out, you know, every other stop and play.
Yeah, because that's what Midlothian did last year. They had to take up another notch to kind of to take them out, because those Dallas area teams, they don't let up. Even on the girls' side too. You look at Prosper and Marcus and all them. They don't let up at all.
They got the depth.
So speaking of the girls, there's 5 teams, and it's a horse race. You got Southwest Legacy 5-0, 14 points. Jay Southwest at 12. Well, Jay Southwest, McCollum, and MacArthur all at 12 points. Jay lost to MacArthur. I think it was 2-0 here, recently. So, but to me, you got 5. The 5 teams battling for 4 slots, and then you got South San. South San was, I saw them play Jay on a Saturday. They were, they're a little bit unlucky. Against John Jay, probably should have came away with the draw at least for it here. Harlandale, Southside, and Eagle Pass win for that here. But this one, our buddy RC Audio, he mentioned if the 4-1 teams all won, Southwest Legacy would go from first to out of the playoffs. Just with the results here. So.
Which could happen tomorrow, because Southwest Legacy is at McCollum, and then they finish off Tuesday with Southwest. So, things can really change here in the blinking of an eye.
And I got to see McCollum a couple weeks ago against MacArthur, and their crappy coach over there at Mac. But no, just kidding. No, we love you, Hector. No, but McCollum,
I was he hasn't popped in with some sort of Real Madrid.
That's probably past his bedtime. But yeah, no, he I was very impressed with both teams, MacArthur and McCollum. But with McCollum, they have their 2 good little midfielder and a forward, number 3 and number 5. I really like the way that they played well together and move the ball around. And traditionally, it's a team that just plays kickball and then go chase it and maybe try to score. But no, this McCollum girls team, they were putting some passes together, and their buildup was really nice. As far as MacArthur, the way that Coach Cano's team plays, man, he's got some really strong girls down in the back, as well as some talent in the midfield. And some speed up top as well, so he's got a good core, a good quality team as well that it's definitely competing. And this is one of those districts where it's going to be very dramatic to see what happens. This is going to go all the way down to the final week of match play to see who comes out, and it wouldn't surprise me if the top team could maybe get pushed out in the final week as well. This is one of those districts where it's, everyone's, just
there's going to be a quality team that's going to miss. There's no question.
Crawl in and just for every point in this district. It's a very competitive district on this girls' side. A little bit more so compared to the boys on the 28 District 28 boys side.
Yeah, me and Harry got to see Jay play plus number 8 Placentas.
And there was a standout, right, for Jay that y'all had mentioned. I think it was Harry that number so-and-so.
Number
8 for John Jay. I didn't, catch the name, but
last name was Placencia, I think. Yeah. She had a Golazo. Okay. Yeah. And
she might be I think she's going to St. Mary's, I think. So. She might be one that's going.
And they were missing. Well, we were told that they were missing one of their midfielders, number 7, right?
And the defender.
Yeah. So Jay wasn't even 100%. But like I said,
she was a A&M SanAntonio commit, number 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but also, like I said, like South San. If you kind of looked at some of the games, they've lost some close ones. Like they're kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. They got blown out in one game, and then they gave, think
They
tied
had
Legacy.
chances against Jay. They had
Yeah.
chances. They just couldn't finish. On here.
They tied Legacy 0-0. They ended up losing in a shootout 3-1. So, so that Southend team could be a little spoiler there.
Yeah,
To steal some points. But I think, speaking of somebody as far as with this district, is whoever is the one that it's peaking at the right time and finally gets it together. I think that's the one that's going to end up winning this district. But it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a shame that one of them is going to be out of it.
And one thing to keep in mind, this is the one that I was talking about here. Legacy at 2142, Jay at 2132. So there's a 10 child split or athlete split, however you want to word it, between D1 and D2 for that here. So, and then, this is where it kind of can get close depending on where you fall. For that, District 29, Flower Bluff 6-0, Gregory Porton 3-0-1, Veteran Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial 3-1. Corpus Christi Carroll 2-1, 2-3 for Miller for that here. So this one's a little bit sketchy as far as games played and reporting. But your thoughts quickly on the 29 for boys there, Rafa?
Your top three teams are kind of like so those are the ones that year in year out make the playoffs. So I know Flower Bluff. I think me and Steve saw them play last year at the Alamo Heights tournament. So they have some talent. They're a talented team. Same thing with Veterans Memorial. A little surprised with Gregory Portland this year. I think this could be their year to try to maybe capture that title for them. And I think from 4 to 9, it could be an open race who gets that last spot.
Moving over to the ladies, Gregory Porton 10-2, 6-0. Flower Bluff, the Lady Hornets 4-1. The Corpus Christi Ray Texans 3-2. Veterans Memorial 4-2. Carroll at 2-1, and then Corpus Christi King 1-1. Your thoughts on 29 for the girls?
Like I said, same thing with the boys. Gregory Portland, like I said, probably one of the best teams in the Corpus area. But like I said, Flower Bluff, Veterans Memorial. So the surprise is actually Corpus Christi Ray. I'm real surprised that they're. Usually it's like a fight between Carroll or King, but so maybe this is
still
early, for the Ray Texans.
So moving to District 30, Laredo Nixon 10-1, 4-0. Laredo Martin 3-0-1. Rio Grande City 2-0-1. Juarez Lincoln 2-1-1. La Jolla Palmview 1-1, Mission 1-1. So it's still very early, for that here. But any surprises?
Usually, Juarez Lincoln is usually kind of the class of this district, but so that's kind of a little bit of a surprise to see. But no, I mean it's still early in the district, so we'll kind of see how it plays out. I don't know necessarily who they've played so far. So as well as Laredo, Nixon and Martin, who they've played as well. So, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
I actually got to see Nixon play. They're a very talented team.
Yeah,
and Martin's also some talent too. But I think they had a little setback with Rio Grande City. But usually, like I said, you mentioned Juarez Lincoln is usually the team that's in first place, and this might be a little rebuilding year for them. And I wouldn't be surprised also they're in the dogfight with Roma. Roma is another team that can surprise some teams in this district. But I think this is Nixon's opportunity to win this district, finally take it away from Juarez Lincoln.
For the ladies, District 30, Juarez Lincoln 3-0, Palmview 3-1, Mission Veterans Memorial 3-2, Laredo Martin 3-2, Laredo Nixon 2-1, and then there's kind of a gap to Rio Grande City and Figueroa and Roma and Mission. But your thoughts on the District 30 ladies?
Yeah, usually the La Jolla girls pretty much dominate this district. Like I said, year in year out. Like I said, Veterans Memorial. I'm a little surprised that they're not one of like better teams kind of compared to like with Sherryland and with Pioneer. I would think they would have just as amount of talent as those two teams. But like I said, I think this is probably going to be your usual suspect as far as getting into the playoffs again this year. We'll see between Martin and Nixon who gets that last spot.
Moving to 31 boys, McAllen 5-0, PSGA Memorial 3-1, Sherryland Pioneer 2-1, PSGA North 3-2, Mission Sherryland 3-2, and then kind of a gap to McAllen Row for that here. But for 31 boys, any thoughts on McAllen? A surprise or historically one of the teams you?
They're good.
That's a surprise. I think that's a surprise because Sherryland is usually the team.
Right. Yeah. Mission Sherryland's usually the team, but every once in a while you'll see a McAllen or a Row, Rowie up there. But yeah, no, we're used to seeing the Rattlers, I should say, the Sherryland Rattlers up there, at top of this district.
And of course, it's still early.
Still
for the ladies. McAllen Memorial 4-0, Sherryland Pioneer 4-1, McAllen Bulldogs 3-1. Then Enberg Vela, McAllen Row 2-2, PSGA Southwest 1-1, and then kind of a drop off from there. Any stands out or anything we need to be on the lookout for 31 ladies?
Well, Pioneer upset McAllen this week.
Oh,
that was their first win against them in a very long time. So I think the Pioneer girls might be for real. We'll see how they match up against McAllen Memorial. Because remember, Memorial was the one team that went deep last year until they ran into the Leander schools. Because it was basically Leander versus McAllen.
Yeah, because it was McAllen Memorial and the Mustangs and the Bulldogs advanced to the regional semifinals against the Leander teams, and then the Leander teams had a lot to say about that. So, yeah. 3-0, I think, on both sides. Yeah, I think 3-0 on both sides. So,
so this is my Rafa district. Never going against Brownsville. Brownsville Lopez 5-0-1, Porter 4-1-1, Harlingen South 4-1, Donna Redskins 3-3, Brownsville Rivera 2-2-1, Donna North 2-3. I think it's Rivera, Donna North is probably where you draw that line as far as contenders for the playoffs.
Well, kind of pace. My uncle's at pace, but that might be.
I think I did that the last time. I need to write that down so that way I don't get in trouble.
But I'm surprised Donna North is kind of in the middle of the pack. Last year they were the hottest team in the valley. As far as the boys' side, they kind of are right there toe to toe with Lopez and Porter. Like I said, these are the two teams that are going to have a lot to say. Well, here's the thing with the playoffs. If you kind of see it, Lopez and Porter are going to end up going D2.
Yeah.
So somebody might not get to play them this year if the stands stay the same. Now, unless Rivera sneaks in, like I said, Rivera still serves within striking distance, so they could sneak in and but like I said, this year in year out, this is a tough district. So
yeah, it's kind of shocking to see Rivera not, in the playoff. They're in the hunt, but not in the top 4 at this point in time. But yeah, it's still, about a quarter way into the season. Man, probably a little bit past that, but close to the halfway mark, I should say. But yeah, no, it's still early. We'll see how it kind of plays out.
No, because there's should be 18 matches, right? If you're playing home and away.
Yeah,
so
18 matches.
So you're about a third of the way in. So
a third of the way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Donna Chief, Harlingen South, Ed Couch Elsa, Brownsville Lopez, Donna Redskins, and then there's a game and a half gap to Brownsville Rivera as far as for the ladies. Thoughts on 32 ladies for 5A before we move to 6A?
I just realized that there are a lot of NFL team names in here. I mean, if the South Hawks could be the Seahawks, man, jeez.
The
That's true.
Raiders,
You got
Raiders,
the
Raiders.
Chiefs, the
Raiders,
Seahawks,
Cowboys, Vikings,
the Redskins, Cowboys, Vikings,
Chiefs, or maybe they'll change their name to Donna Commanders. Who knows? But yeah, no, Harlingen South is a team that's usually pretty competitive. Once the playoffs come around, I don't see them going too far as playoffs are concerned. But yeah, I think they're kind of the head of the class as far as this district is concerned for the girls.